The Calgary Flames look to bounce back tonight against the Detroit Red Wings, and could they be part of another coach firing?
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Today, we are going to be talking all about the Flames touching down in Detroit, taking on the Red Wings. Could they be part of the next coach firing in terms of beating the Red Wings and Derek Lalonde getting fired? And who is on our radar to watch tonight? Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, and let's dive in. We've all moved on from Monday, correct? I think that the game against the Senators was questionable at best, but you can't let a bad game bleed over into the next. That's how you end up with a situation like the Colorado Avalanche. They've had a very tough start to the season, and the locker room, the temper tantrums, I don't think you'll ever see that from the Flames. But I mean, truly anything is possible. And Ryan Huska mentions it all the time that it is one game at a time, and what is said in the room kind of stays in the room, and it's no one else's noise. The outside noise, like this podcast, does not creep in. But it's important to live in the present. You don't need to get too caught up in the past performances, good or bad, and you can't look too far ahead. But speaking of living in the present, let's talk about some changes for tonight in the lineup against Detroit. But Dan Vladar is your starter. Makes sense. Wolf started Monday. Probably see Wolf on Friday if we're going back to the every other pattern, which may be the best pattern to do. We'll have to see what Huska works with. But Blake Coleman, Mackenzie Weegar, and Kevin Ball were all not at practice. This is the last, Mackenzie Weegar has missed a few practices recently, and I don't know if it's all consecutive or if he's dropped in for one, but I feel like we've seen his name quite a bit in terms of, whether it's maintenance or just not being there. But it's something else going on, right? Weegar is a workhorse. We know this, correct? We are all fully aware that he is a shutdown defenseman. And I wouldn't be shocked if something's bothering him. We're starting to get to that point in the season where, maybe something has, progressed from just bothering you a little bit to, oh, I've played 22 games now like this. It's starting to progress into something else. And that's normal. So hopefully, he's taking care of himself. I'm not sure what's cooking with Blake Coleman or Kevin Ball, but I hope they're, just maintenance days as well. So we'll have to see tonight what the pairings look like. Could you see Jake Bean or Tyson Barrie back in the lineup if those two defensemen are out? Potentially. I mean, I think anything's possible. But does Klapka go in if Coleman is out? How are we rolling? But I could also I don't see the Flames doing 11-7. That doesn't seem like Huska's that feels like a very last resort, and I don't think that that's something Huska would do right now. I think it would make more sense to just have as many bodies on the ice as you possibly legally can have at one time. But I'm intrigued to see how tonight goes. the Red Wings, which we're going to talk about here coming up next, but the Red Wings have not necessarily been the strongest, most competitive team. And they're still only 3 points out of a wild card spot, which, I mean, the Flames are familiar with. They've been bouncing back and forth all season long. And like I mentioned earlier this week, it is a long time until April. There is plenty of hockey left to be played. And I would not be shocked if, these two teams do see more changes in the standings over these next few months, even these next few weeks, especially if there are personnel changes. But one thing I think that the Flames have going for them is the consistency. We've talked about it a lot over the years here on Locked On Flames, but the Flames have always needed consistency. They've needed consistent goaltending. They've needed consistent offense. They've needed consistent messaging coming from management and their coaches. I feel like in years past there's just been a huge disconnect between what's being told from channel to the product you're seeing on the ice. And it's nice to kind of, see everyone on the same page and working towards the same goal together rather than against each other. And I don't I know everyone jokes about like the Yeiser plan, but I mean, I I don't think that Craig Conroy necessarily like has one of something of the sorts, but I do think we can trust Craig Conroy in terms of what's down the line and the messaging he wants and how he communicates with everyone. And not to get too far off topic here, but I do feel like Craig Conroy knows how to talk to people, and that's a very important part of his job. And I feel like that's a skill that some in the profession may lack, and it's great to see a great communicator, which obviously has translated into strong messaging and strong performances as we've seen. But coming up next, we're going to talk about the chaos going on in Detroit and what you might want to watch for tonight here on Locked On Flames. All right, Flames fans, let's dive right into. With the seasons changing, I am already dreaming of a warm weather getaway, and I love using points for travel. And I'm always looking for ways to earn more to book my next flight. Here's a life hack for you. Built lets you earn points on rent payments and redeem them towards flights, hotels, and more. One of your biggest investments should get you more than just a roof over your head. There's no cost to join Build. And as a member, you'll earn valuable points on rent and your everyday spending. Built points can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, and even ones you haven't heard of yet. There are over 500 airlines and over 700,000 hotels and properties around the world. You can redeem your built points toward. Points can also be redeemed toward a future rent payment and unique experiences that only Built members can access. So if you're not earning points on rent, my question is, why not? Start earning points on rent you're already paying for by going to joinbuilt.com/lockedonnhl. That's joinbilt.com/lockedonnhl. Make sure to use our URL so they know that we sent you to joinbuilt.com to start earning points on your rent payment today. And I do want to take a second here to talk to you about one of my favorite apps, and that would be Game Time. Game Time is the place to get any tickets for any live event. I'm talking sports game, I'm talking comedy, I'm talking theater, I'm talking concerts, whatever you like, you have to check out Game Time. And they have a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. I used Game Time to get tickets to go see the Flames in Edmonton, as well as Montreal, and Game Time Picks made that so easy, a no hassle buying process. And it was probably the quickest I've ever found the perfect seats in my 29 years of life. But Game Time Picks makes the curation process easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And toggling on the all-in pricing feature shows you the total upfront, so you aren't flabbergasted and met with surprise fees at checkout. This ticketing app, the only ticketing app that gives you the complete peace of mind with your purchase. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your Calgary Flames every day. And tonight, the Calgary Flames take on the Detroit Red Wings in Detroit. And it feels like there is a dark cloud looming over Detroit. And that would be the whispers on the street of Derek Lalonde being fired. He has coached the team for 3 years, and like we've talked about on the show before, the average time or length of a coaching opportunity with a team is 3 seasons or 3 years. So, I mean, this is something that I don't want to say is expected, but it's not uncommon. And it's always interesting because every team is different. Obviously, like if your team's not scoring and you're doing everything you can to create opportunities as the coach, whether it's changing up the lines or sending messages, I, I don't think that's necessarily your fault. And I don't know what the situation in Detroit is, of course, but I haven't heard anything bad about Lalonde. So I mean, like, what is this situation? I was listening to um NHL Network on the SiriusXM app this morning, and they were talking about how this 3-game homestand that the Flames are in the mix of is kind of very determined. And the Red Wings are in a position now where they believe they're not in a rebuild anymore. So could they use a good change of voice? Because obviously, you have your voice for, when you're in the trenches, and now you're supposedly climbing out of it. Like maybe he doesn't know how to coach this kind of team. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. But sometimes that fresh voice is a good clean slate sort of deal, a good, reset button. They're 3 points out of a wild card spot, but also 3 points out of being in the bottom of the Eastern Conference. So I don't understand what's going on. Or the Atlantic, rather. Sorry. But the Flames do face one of their former teammates tonight, and that would be Cam Talbot, who has been phenomenal as a 1B goaltender, I would say, on every team he's been with since leaving the Flames. And it's no different here in Detroit. He's having a heck of a season with a .921 save percentage. He's playing well. His goals against average is a 2.7 2.4, and I'm thoroughly impressed with and just happy for players, especially when it's a backup goalie and they move on from an organization and multiple organizations over the last few years, and they're able to find success. It's, a good feeling. I think, Cam Talbot was a big part of the Flames right when David Riddick started struggling in January 2020-ish. Talbot came in and saved the day. He was great to watch. But the points leader for the Red Wings would be Lucas Raymond, who has 20 points, 15 assists. That's more than anyone on the Flames. I think that obviously the issue for the Flames starting the season has been the offense at some point. Some nights it's like, oh my God, I can't believe this team didn't score. And other times it's like, wow, they make it look so easy. And that's very frustrating. But I would say that your best bet is to obviously listen to an episode of Locked On Red Wings. Those guys over there are phenomenal human beings, but also phenomenal podcast hosts, and they do a great job giving you that expert opinion as well as being a true fan and telling it as it is. But Dylan Larkin is Dylan Larkin. He is exceeding exceeding expectations and just doing Dylan Larkin things. Patrick Kane only has 10 points. So we'll see where things kind of blossom tonight against the Red Wings. I think that the Flames, I don't want to say I think the Flames are going to win or I think the Flames are going to lose, because honestly, I don't know. It depends on who shows up and what the lineup looks like at the start of the game. But with the Red Wings having that extra fire under them in terms of this potential coaching change, you might see a different team tonight. You might see something that looks like a Stanley Cup, true cup contender tonight. So we will see how that goes. And coming up next, we're going to talk about the players on my radar ahead of tonight's matchup here on Locked On Flames. Get ready to tackle the NFL action this season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place your live bets on the NFL all in one place. I love the FanDuel app because of how easy it is to use and how user-friendly it is. And it's just, the user interface is fantastic and super easy to navigate. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That is FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you are following me on Twitter or Blue Sky at Jess Belmosto. My players to watch tonight are the ones that maybe you haven't been watching because you haven't noticed them. And this stinks. I don't enjoy putting anyone on the spot like this. It's not fun. I like these guys. Good team. They all seem like good guys, especially this first one, Nazem Kadri. He has struggled at at the faceoff dot this season. 47% success. You need a little bit more than that. If you can win, obviously you want to be winning all of your faceoffs, but I feel like if you're doing over or above 50 or above, you're doing something right. But he has not scored a goal since his game in Boston on November 7th, which was 20 days ago. and a chunk of games ago. And that's really not what you're looking for. Obviously, his line with Pospisil and Kuzmenko on his wings has just been an underperforming line. The three of them have obviously struggled. That's not a secret. Kuzmenko has not had a goal since the start of October. And Pospisil, he's definitely improved, I would say, over these last few weeks, but he still doesn't have that edge to him, the offensive edge to him that he had last season. And that's a bummer because we saw the success in all three of those players. Kuzmenko brought the Flames power play back to life. Let's see it tonight. Kadri, we know that he scores when it matters. So let's see it. And Pospisil, can you just set something up or finish a goal? Like, be that net front presence because we need something. And if he could stay out of the penalty box too, that would be very good. But beggars can't be choosers, right? But I would also keep an eye on Dan Vladar. Why? Well, because if you watch his performance on Saturday against the Wild, you would be very concerned too. He had a very tough third period against Minnesota, and I am very curious if we see a similar performance tonight or, I think, again, like, it comes down to who's in front of him defensively because sometimes the defense just sucks. There's no other way to put it. We've seen it. It doesn't matter who it is. Everyone can be guilty of it. But sometimes they're just lost in space, out of position, nowhere to be found. Or sometimes goaltenders resemble, they couldn't stop a beach ball if they tried. And that's not good. I think, Vladar might have just been checked out. It is what it is. But you want to see him bounce back tonight. You want to see him making the saves and, you don't want that game tying goal to be an easy one that you wish you could get back, that you could save. You need to be on top of it 100%. And I don't have a ton of faith in the Flames defensive group right now. I just don't feel like it's a rebuilding defensive group. Like, that's what it is. Like, I feel like, you have your veterans with, Tyson Barrie and Rasmus Anderson, Mackenzie Weegar, and then you have like these fill-ins. And I would quite honestly rather see some of these young players, like some players down in the AHL, like Jeremy Poirier, be playing on the blue line. I want to see, Hunter Brustwich still needs time in the AHL, but I want to start seeing progress with that rather than these NHLers that are just not very good. I also fully suspected Joel Hanley to have a broken wrist after taking a 90-mile-an-hour shot off the wrist. That puck, like, that looked like it hurt. At first, I thought it got him in the face. Thank God it didn't. But I thought that he would have just left the game and he was out there the next shift. And I was like, oh, okay. So I guess bones are stronger than I give them credit for. But no, I think that the Flames defensive group, we knew it was going to be an issue this year. It was going to kind of be circled on our list for concerns, and they do have good nights. Like, I'm not saying that they're useless, obviously, but there are definitely moments where it's like, how are you so far out of position? How do you let this happen? But that's Calgary Flames hockey, baby. At least you know what? Life could always be worse. Nikita Zadorov could be leading the team in like 48 minutes and like not even, I think he has like 52 penalty minutes this season, and is useless on the ice. So, it could absolutely always be worse. And we don't have to deal with that anymore. But we'll dive into some defensive problems, issues, and potential changes coming up on Locked On Flames. But make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Your team every day. To the American listeners, enjoy your Thanksgiving. I will still be posting a show tomorrow, talking all things Detroit Flames matchup related. Nice little game recap. And we'll see if anything else happens between now and then, because Marco Rossi's name is certainly coming up in conversations. But until then, stay safe, stay warm, stay dry, stay cool, stay hydrated, and remember to be kind.